Anyway, his album Waiting for 2042, I can't wait to find out why, has just been released tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. Be part of the big Hari Kondabolu homecoming celebration. He is performing at the, hold on, I got to look it up because it's not on this.
It's at the Neptune
Theater. All right. And so if you want to grab tickets, we'll have a link at bobrivers.com. Welcome back, Hari. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me back.
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see someone making the big time.
Yeah, well, it's nice. To always, even though it's funny, I was only here for 2 years. I only lived here for 2 years, but it's always a homecoming.
Is it? Or you say that every place you've lived for 2 years?
I'm here. I'll say it in Portland, even though I've only been there
6 months.
Maybe 6 times in my life.
I'm back, baby.
Oh, Vancouver. It's been years.
Does every radio show welcome you as a returning homeboy?
No.
Okay.
No.
But you had a real job here, right? And this is where you first started thinking, comedy. That might be something to try.
Well, I did comedy. You know, I grew up in New York. I did comedy in college. I did it on breaks, but it would always just break my heart in New York. Like, it's just you're performing for other comics, or you do folk open mic.
Toughest market to be in.
Yeah, oh my God.
Hecklers.
To start.
Yeah.
It's a terrible place to start, in my opinion. I feel like it's just hard. I mean, I think you have a thicker skin, but I feel like audiences in the Northwest are just significantly, they pay attention, they care, they're not jaded.
They're intellectual.
Yes.
So you become a smarter comic if you start here.
Yes.
Then you can go to New York, and you're smart enough to handle the hecklers. Am I right?
I think there's a lot of that. And also, I think there's enough road work around here, too, where you get a thicker skin through that as well.
What's the best heckle response you have?
I'm terrible at it, to be honest.
You really?
I'm better at like I'm more of a Thursday 7 o'clock show where people aren't completely wasted and are there to see me, versus like a Friday late show where people are drunk and they just want to laugh, and I'm using words like colonialism. You know, that's not the word you want to hear when you're like wasted and you've had a long week, and I'm talking about these big ideas. You know?
What is colonialism?
Don't worry about it, Bob.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, Bob. It was a long time ago.
Shoot. I don't know what he's talking about.
It's cool. He'll start talking about bitches any minute, man.
Yeah.
It's always this funny. It's always this funny thing. I used to in Seattle. I'd have to adjust when it was the late show on Fridays, and you were kind of like, all right, I can't do this material right now. I can't do this just because everyone is not there.
You have to know your audience.
I have one story about the erotic bakery in Wallingford here in Seattle. I'll just repeat that story as many times as I possibly can to get through the set. That's usually what it is. Yeah.
They have cakes made that look like boobs, Bob.
Yeah.
I've been to that place. Well, we used to do when we were a younger rock show. We would, they bring us things for nude stock and all of that, and we
remember when I had my surgery for testicular cancer.
The
cake was Hall of Fame.
They bake you a one-ball cake.
They did, sure, to a Hall of Fame cake.
That's funny.
That's a place where if you're gonna go, you can't browse. It's weird to browse.
To hang around there.
You have to buy.
You're right.
It's actually less dirty to buy something at the erotic bakery. You can't just say, I'm browsing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just,
Holly, have you picked out a cake yet? You've been here for an hour.
I'm almost done. Yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah.
You got a booth? Is there a booth?
Wow. The Neptune Theater, what a great place to fill up. I recently saw a show there, and it's a wonderful comedy venue.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten a chance. This is the first time where I thought maybe, hopefully, I have enough of a draw to fill it up. But I've always wanted to perform there. Always.
It's a beautiful big theater.
Yeah.
So you are now. Tell me where do you live?
In Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, you're a Brooklyn guy.
Yeah.
How
I grew up in Queens. I have to mention that, otherwise all of my Queens friends are like,
okay,
sold out.
And they may hear you on the internet.
Right.
Are you? Yeah, right. I'm from Queens. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Seattle. Do you own in Brooklyn? It's kind of 50-50 if you need to own a car. Probably you don't own a car.
I don't know how to drive.
You don't even know how to drive.
Yeah, terrible. I'm terrible. I've been mooching rides my whole life. It's terrible.
So you get around on the subway.
I get around the subway. I take buses. And New York, in Seattle.
Do you love New York?
It's home. I love. I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Wow, they could be listening.
What isn't?
Yeah,
I don't handle heckling well.
I love my folks. I love my brother.
Yeah.
It's New York. I think Seattle, it was more me. I think quality of life wise, I think this is just you make a choice for the night in New York, and that's what you're sticking to because you can't afford to just drive around, take cabs everywhere, subways take forever.
Right.
Here, you could meet up with different groups of friends, 3 or 4 different groups of friends. You can go around the city. You can do a bunch of stuff.
Plus, if
great
your
restaurants.
legitimate response to being heckled is, "Hey, you hurt my feelings," you really are more of a Seattle person.
That's effective here.
Yeah.
You hurt my. I'm so sorry. I was just trying
I'm having
to.
feelings about what you just said to me.
What if I made fun of the Sonics right now? Would you?
How
it
would
would
you
hurt you
feel?
to mention the Sonics, wouldn't it?
But let me see how Seattleite you are. How thrilled were you to see the Seahawks at the Super Bowl?
Oh, of course I was thrilled.
Okay.
I'm a Giants fan, but but we didn't have a chance this year. That wasn't going to happen. I love Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's the most Indian-looking quarterback.
I was going to say, you look a little like Russell Wilson.
I mean, he's not Indian American, but I'm like, if this is as close as we get, I'll take Russell Wilson. Hell of a quarterback.
You mentioned your brother. I know that you guys do a podcast together.
Yeah.
You live in New York together, and he's a rap artist. He does
Kind of. I mean, he was a hype man for a now defunct rap group, which they refer
So
to.
he's one
as-
of the guys, like one of the posse that's out there,
Kind
kind
of.
of.
Well, he was the only one, but yeah, it was like the 2 guys and him just like repeating the chorus. He called himself a glorified backup dancer, which is very fair. But I mean, it was great. They got to tour the world, and it's funny now they never had a hit, and yet they had a very successful run. Like they toured the world, and they got to be in Conan, and they were great, and it was great music.
Conan, Letterman, all these shows. How was it being on Letterman the other day? I
my
gotta,
God,
I gotta watch
amazing.
it.
It was amazing. Like just to meet Paul Schaefer, just like, and I asked them to play White Riot by The Clash and for my entrance music, and he did, and it sounded amazing, and it was a thrill.
Hey, Pedro, can you get that clip? What's that?
Yeah, I tried to get it right.
All right, we'll play a little bit of that
said he was going
to
to.
promote your show even more. Folks, you got to go see him. Do you smoke pot? Pedro says you don't smoke
I
pot.
don't smoke pot. Am I not a Seattleite anymore?
No, that's you can't be here.
Legally, I'm not.
They're kicking me out for that too.
They'll throw you into the jail in New York for smoking it.
With a name like Hari.
I was never. I mean, pot was never my. Like I never smoked pot. I don't drink very much either. It's not. But and I have friends who smoke pot, and I prefer the friends who smoke pot. If that means anything.
They're more fun to hang around with.
I mean, they've never tried to draw a penis on my face. they might have thought about it and forgot, but they've never actually done it.
I was going to ask if you knew
So.
my daughter because she lives in Brooklyn, but if you don't smoke pot, you have
No
Or
chance.
drink, right.
Hari Kondabolu. Hari, see him this weekend. We've got the information at bobrivers.com. The Neptune, Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Hari, all the best.
Thank you very
we'll
much,
play
brother.
some of your Letterman